it came to hurricanes around here, people usually just blew it off. It was just another storm, or it probably won't even hit us. They never do. Even if it does, it won't be that bad. Hurricanes used to be just a part of the year, another season for us. This one, though, it became a part of our lives. We used to have hurricane parties, buy a bunch of beers, and just ride the storm out. Now we form survival parties.
Tracking the latest with now Hurricane Michael, as it has been upgraded from tropical storm to hurricane status, expected to continue strengthening over the next day or so, and likely making it all the way to major hurricane status before making landfall as a Category 3 storm sometime early Wednesday morning. Landfall could bring storm surge in places 8 to 12 feet in some locations.
Mostly the speed of the hurricane. We discussed it. Like 2 nights before, it was about a Category 2, I think. We had never been through a hurricane. We've been through a tropical storm before. So we were like, well, if it's a Category 2, people stay. They don't leave, it's nothing to worry about. We might just stay. And then it changed almost overnight. So yeah, we were just completely taken off guard, or caught off guard, rather.
I had originally evacuated and gone to Vero Beach, which is where my mother and my daughter both live. And this had happened because Monday, one of the people in digital media who is a hurricane fanatic started showing me a bunch of model runs. And they were still out pretty far for accuracy. But he said, just watch this run. He tried to stop it. And he said, look at that. It says 932. And that was talking about central pressure at landfall. And I went, well, Brandon, 932 is that's a serious hurricane. That's not a tropical depression. And it's about that time they started to ramp up predictions. And so we just decided that we would go ahead and head down to Vero Beach. Time to go see my mother. She's in her mid-90s. It's time to go see Mom and check on the kids, see what they're doing down there. So we decided, well, probably not going to be a big deal, but we'll go anyway. We'll just head down there. And by the time we got down there Tuesday night, it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
I got the door secured. This door's not going anywhere. I'm going now. Oh, sorry. All right. Let's go. Go, I got the door. I'll be locked up. Come on, Jacob, let's go. Woo, gosh. Oh, Jacob, come on. Go.
Night, guys.
Mom, go, I got the door.
Okay. All right, go.
Where are we going?
The bay door is busted open.
still there for now. I'm not too worried about my phone right now, but I want everybody to be able to see what we are seeing right now in Fountain. Welcome to Fountain, Florida, and Hurricane Michael. He's already taken down our trees that were over here and there. There used to be a big pine tree right out in the middle of the yard. This is unbelievable. I have never seen anything like this. I was in Callaway, Florida when Hurricane Ivan came through, and we had to deal with those tornadoes that were just horrible. I mean, you can literally see. This is just unbelievable. This is worse than what I saw in Callaway back in 2004. We're hanging in there. Hang on, real bad dust. We got stuff flying around all over the place out here. This is absolutely just unbelievable. We've also got the fence going down. Some of the trees over here on this edge line are down. If you're wondering, I just ducked because we had one heck of a gust coming through right now. I don't even know what you can and can't see anymore. It's definitely not pretty, and I pray to God that we get through this and that our friends in Panama City that chose to remain, like I said, I've already got numerous words about the houses being gone, houses with trees down in them. And while we're up here obviously praying for ourselves, these family down in Panama City. Trying to reach it?
Yes, sir. Is everybody still accounted for in any damage to your building?
10-4. We do have damage to the building. No structural damage, just roof, siding, and all manpower.
Copy. All personnel accounted for?
10-4. All personnel accounted for. Also be advised we have like several citizens due to their home damage.
Sir, you're breaking up.
Yes, ma'am. All personnel have been accounted for. We have 3 citizens in the station with us that did lose their home.
Understood. All personnel are accounted for with 3 citizens in your station, correct?
10-4.
Copy. Thank you.
You're probably getting better footage than that BBC guy did.
I know.
I wish.
Well, my feeling was, I was over it. I just wanted, whether it was gonna kill us and take us all out into the air and throw us around the city, that was fine. If it was gonna end, that was fine. I just wanted it to happen right then, because another 2, 3, 4 hours of that storm was just too much stress. It was overwhelming. But when we all eventually went out, it was unlike anything I had ever seen. Like, trees were just everywhere, all on the road. Just seeing the houses, seeing trees ripped up out of the ground and upside down like 30 feet away. It was insane.
Immediately, well, the first thing, we couldn't get out of the front of the house, and we couldn't get out of the back of the house, so we had to figure out how to get out of here, because we had stuff laying in here to where we couldn't get the door open. It was jammed, it was shut. And then we had trees and debris up here in the front of the house where all my trees, luckily didn't fall on anybody's house, but just collapsed. And we had to break up tree limbs and stuff to get out. And then that was basically it, is to be able to get out of the front door and then figure out what we're going to do after that. But it was a shock. It was I think we were in shock for like 2 days afterwards. You just don't believe this is really happening.
We had shingle damage. Shingles blown right off the roof. Trees falling all across our shed. We had one fall on our garage roof with 3 branches poking through. The side of the house that didn't get trees blown on them, they were the leakiest. And this is like a 10-year-old house, 10, 12-year-old house. So no real structural damage, luckily. No, not a lot of trees falling on it and breaking it. You know, there was some. There was one very large tree that just sort of came to rest with 3 branches poking right through, and a lot of water damage from the ceiling. And it was extensive. It was extensive. You walk in there and you can smell the fact that everything is damp. The whole house is damp. And it's like a terrarium. You open the door and it's just humid inside the house because you're not going to leave the doors unlocked.
So how much of your roof actually wound up getting ripped off?
It took my laundry room, it took a strip in my kitchen here, and it took another strip off of my guest bedroom. It just opened them all up, basically, and took my porch away. And that was basically it.
So what happened to your house?
Our house, actually, we did pretty well considering in our neighborhood. The only thing that happened, there was a small leak because we heard the fire alarm going off. We didn't know what it was at first, but water had seeped in and it was falling through the fire alarm and dripping down. So what did we do? I think we turned off the breakers and then we unplugged that fire alarm. We had a screened-in back porch that was like all kind of aluminum metal, that kind of flimsy metal, and that was flying everywhere and breaking. It was just twisted apart, and it mostly fell into our pool. But the screen-in porch, the small leak, and then a tree. We had a huge tree in our front yard, and that fell, but it fell and just grazed the front of the house. So like it landed on it, but nothing broke.
Here's some water.
How about your neighbors? How did they respond after the storm? Were you helpful? Did you guys help each other?
That's the funny thing. There's 7 families that stayed. There were 7 of us that stayed here. And it's funny, we all got together, we checked on each other, we kind of pooled who needed what. But it was kind of funny, on this end of the block, there was like 3 of us that clustered together. And on the other part of the corner of the block, there was like 4 families that clustered there. But we all known each other. We've been here, I think my husband's we're the oldest ones here. So we kind of knew everybody but didn't, but we got to talk to people and find out who they are, and we helped each other, whatever we needed to do.
We just went out and we walked around. And the whole neighborhood where we lived, everybody was just out kind of dazed and walking and hugging everybody and just seeing how people were doing. And it was really, there was a huge feeling of camaraderie because we'd all been through that and everybody had a story to tell. And they were pretty terrible stories, but we could share them, so.
If anyone, who helped you the most?
I will tell you, I think who helped keep me together through most of this, because it was just insane, was my neighbors across the street, Erin Nichols and her husband, Nick Nichols. I mean, we would go over there in the evening and we'd have dinner and we would discuss what we were going to do tomorrow, and we tried not to talk about how bad it was, because I think it would be depressing when we're trying to figure out what to do next.
We evacuated, so survival was less shelter and fire and food, and it was more place to stay and knowledge gathering.
I wasn't worried about it raining on my head while we were 3 hours away from where the storm hit, but I was worried about where am I going to put the family and how do I get information, because I can't help physically until I can situate the family.
But I guess that's that, and we got out here and dragged all this stuff off, and I made an old camp kitchen outside and was able to cook, and I was able to, after a while, take care of some of our basic needs of eating and stuff. And I didn't freeze up or panic and somebody else is supposed to do it. I look at it, we're pioneer spirits. That's what made this country. We're just going to do it. You're going to do it. And that's what we did.
We had all of our physical needs taken care of. We had a roof over our head. We had food in our bellies. We had a place to sleep. Physically, we were fine. Once the family in Luverne took us in and gave us a place to stay, we didn't have to worry about any of that. But the focus then was, what is going on down there? What's happened to our house? What's happened to our friends? What's happened to our city? What can we go back to? When can we go back? What's left? That was draining. That was the struggle for being an evacuee, because it wasn't like we had moved. We had just left and we're going back at some point.
We had the radio. That was a big thing. Prior to the storm, I had a problem with the satellite in my room or something, so I didn't have television. So I've been listening to the radio. I hooked up an old radio that we bought at a yard sale. So after the storm, we had a battery-powered radio made by Porsche at that, which is crazy. But yeah, we were just, every night we would sit around and just listen to the radio and hear the reports of what was happening or what news was going on. And during the day, once they finally cleared the way out of our neighborhood, we drove around and just kind of saw the rest of the city and the destruction. But mostly, yeah, we would spend the day kind of out. We would get supplies, or my parents were dropping off supplies for some people. Because the Red Cross and everyone who came to volunteer, they really provided a lot of everything that people needed. So that, plus we had actually prepared quite well. With it being our first hurricane, we over-prepared for Category 2, which was more like preparing for Category 3, I guess, and so we did slightly okay. So we had that, and then when I wasn't on my phone, we were managing to charge it somehow. We recently got a piano, so I was just practicing the piano in the dark and sweating because it started getting really hot. And eventually, after about a week and a half with no running water, which was the real, deal breaker, that's when we went up to Pensacola for about a week. So, what I want people outside the storm to know is that a hurricane is pretty life-changing, in the sense that, one, it changes the people who were involved in it, and two, it changes the place where it happened.
I've tried not to dwell on the past, what the house was, or what life was, or any of that, because that doesn't help me take care of right now. That doesn't help me solve the situation of what is in front of me at this moment. Looking to the past might help me figure out the future, but it's not going to help me cut this tree down or move all of these shingles that came off of my roof, or make sure my family is in a secure location and comfortable. That doesn't help me solve these problems that are in front of me right now and I can't avoid.
And it can happen in 3.5 hours. You're back to the basics of no water, no police force, no medical, no food. It makes you appreciate what you got. And there's people coming in to help you. It makes you very appreciative. I think you can tell people about it, but if they don't experience, they don't get it. I really don't think they get it.
And by that I mean that a week or two after the storm, people kind of, thought, okay, life is getting back to normal outside of where it happened. But here, even today, even nearly, 5-6 months after the hurricane, things are not back to normal. And I think that pressure to get things moving again is detrimental to actual recovery.
It's amazing what people did. I wish we would do that every day. I wish we acted that way with each other all the time. I don't know why we have to hate and distrust people and distrust each other. It's pointless. It's a waste of energy.
One of the big things, though, is this has gone on for like 5 months. The storm is over. It lasted about 6 hours. But we're not back to normal. The house isn't what it used to be. I'm not in my house right now. I'm in an extended stay in Callaway because my house is being repaired. My house is not being repaired, it's being remediated. They are tearing down the walls and they are cleaning the mold, and it's gonna be mold free. But I'm not going to have ceilings in my bedrooms. I'm not going to have drywall separating rooms. I'm not going to have carpet in the house until someone is free from doing roof work to put that back in there. And I get it, because everybody needs a roof. Everybody needs a roof.